Hey guys, okay, I'm going to do a quick video here on something that we were talking about on Facebook this morning. Dad and I are in the process of making some other videos, but I kind of set that project aside just for a few minutes so I can make one specifically on scalloping for you guys. So this is for, let me see, it was for a post on Facebook from Keith Hurley, so also for Patrick Murphy, Steve Schreckengost, that's it. Dan or Dave Zant. I'm butchering this. Zantorsky, I think.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, easy for me to say. Tim Patterson, Ken Hall, and Randall Martin. And there may be some other posts on there by now. So here's what we got, guys. We got to figure out this scalloping thing because it really is not that hard to do. So you should be able to do it. Again, I would not use my small little DeWalt. I'm going to use my bigger DeWalt to do it because it's taking out more wood. So, but you guys know that. We talk about that on a regular basis. So here's what I'm going to do. You can see this scalloping looks somewhat uniform, and it looks, you know, like you guys say, it's, you know, perfectly uniform. It's not really, but it is, for all intents and purposes, pretty close. I'm going to just turn this board sideways, and I'm going to scallop this edge right here, and then I'm going to talk about something else that we talked about on Facebook a little bit this morning. So I'm not even going to use my my magnifiers for this. So are you with me, Dad?
I'm with you.
You got it? All right, so now what I've done here, and I'll get into the thickness of the boards here in a minute, but this board is just a piece of scrap pine that's a full 3/4 of an inch, so I don't have to build it up too much. This is just one of those pads doubled up, and I know I've got clearance, so my bearing's not hitting my my table there. So let's just do this. So I keep in contact with the board, and I bring it straight in, okay? Then I move it over enough, and what I keep an eye on is I keep an eye on this point right here. So when I move it over, okay? So even if I start, are you in on that, Dad?
Yeah.
Even if I start here and I realize I'm in the wrong spot, I'll just bring it over and leave that point there. See how I kind of moved it at an angle a little bit? Because I want to, so when I'm doing my next scallop, I keep my eye right on that point. And that really is all there is to it, guys. It's really not that hard to do. You got to have a hold of the router. You got to be able to control it. But if when you're doing the next scallop, if you keep an eye on this point right here, and make sure that if it looks like you're taking it too much, then just go ahead and by the time you get in, just move it at a little bit of an angle. But once you get used to it, it's just not that hard to do. I'll do another one here. And once you get the hang of it, of how it goes, it really is really simple to do. So that looks virtually like the other one, fairly uniform. And I did it faster because I've done some. But don't do it fast to begin with. Don't try and go that speed or faster. When Dad does it, it's like he's on a race and see how fast he can do it. You guys have probably all seen that video. Take your time. You don't have to be in a hurry on that thing. And even though when I got down here, see how that is a little bit bigger, a bigger gap there than it is there, it really makes no difference at all. I wouldn't put another scallop there because then it would make this too, it wouldn't leave me a really good point there. It would be chopped off too much.
You're going to sand that corner anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Once I sand that corner off with a block, it makes no difference whatsoever. Now, another way that you can do it, and we kind of talked about this on Facebook this morning, is if you do want to make some lines on there, an inch apart or an inch and a 1/16 apart, you might do that to begin with if you feel more comfortable doing that. After you've done a few and you do it the way I just did, you probably won't need to. But if you wanted to do that, then you could keep your eye on that line. And in this particular instance, I'll start at this side over here. So that's what I did there. In essence, I just basically kept those lines, and those lines I tried to keep right on that point. But you can see I didn't do it exact, but it's exact enough that once you get that sprayed and sanded off, it looks pretty good. I think I went pretty deep on that. So because I scalloped both sides. Okay, so it really is not that difficult to do. So now we're going to hit the other issue that was kind of brought up, is the thickness of the board. Now, I'm going to put that aside, and I've got an old scrap board that I've just done some testing of my profile bits and stuff. But this board is down less than a 1/2 inch thick. So if I was to just put this on here, I would not have enough clearance with my bearing. I'd be hitting that. So there's ways to go about it to build that up. First of all, you can keep using this, and depending on your thickness, you can build it up even more. Let me set that aside for a second. You can build it up more by just using a thicker pad. This is just a thicker version. This is actually leftover, I think, from my my tool chest drawers. You can see how much thicker that is than this. But you could build that up to the point then where you would have enough gap that you wouldn't hit. But there's another way to go about it too. A couple different ways. You guys talked this morning about, I think Randall.
One thing you might point out, if they do it that way and the bearing gets into that rubberized thing, it'll grab it and
yeah, it's happened.
Yeah, you want
to be careful that your bearing doesn't hit this stuff, because it'll bind it up and send you for a ride. So and I know, because I've been there. I've done that. I'm sure you've done that a time or two too, Dad. It doesn't really hurt anything, but it takes a while to get that stupid foam out of the bearing and stuff. So here's another way you can do it. I know in using these bench cookies, and you guys even talked about it this morning, you can do that, but sometimes on a 6x24 it gets kind of rocky, and you don't, I don't know, I'm more comfortable using these cookies on a bigger sign than I am by a 6x24, but you can use these if you get kind of used to them. Now what I did, and what I've did for years, is I just made myself a board that's a little bit less than 6x24, and I just put a pad on it with adhesive, and I just make sure that when I'm doing this, you could see I could go all the way around this thing and my bearing would never touch anything. So that's another way you can do it. Another way is, if you don't have that adhesive stuff, you can just put some little nail heads. And if you want it more secure so it wouldn't go anywhere, you could screw this down or clamp this down on your bench somehow. But even with that pad on the back, and then you could actually just do that, and that would hold it. So this is just nails put through from the other side of the board. I put it on the same board here. I probably, you know, again, this having the pad on the back would probably be enough to keep it from moving on me. I guess I can try it and find out. But I would just put a little, now this obviously would be only if you're not carving on the other side, because I just punched holes in the back side of this sign, which for all intents purposes wouldn't make a difference. Now this board here, because it's a piece of scrap, it's got round over edges. Normally I wouldn't round my edges when I'm doing scalloping, but on this it's just a piece of scrap. So let's see if this holds. Yeah, that holds nice. It doesn't want to slide on me at all. That didn't want to slide at all. So again, I kind of went deep for that thin a board. I probably, if I was scalloping that board, I wouldn't have gone that deep, but I didn't want to reset my bit. So I wouldn't normally go that deep, because obviously that's a little deep for this thin of a board. So I'm gonna back that off just slightly, and then we're gonna use the other side to see if this this rubberized pad on this board, and those nails keep it from moving. So let's see if that works.
Easy cheesy Japanese.
Yeah. So that's you know, I apologize for not doing this video sooner, you guys. I honestly didn't realize it was that big a thing. But again, like Dad has mentioned many times, something that doesn't seem that big a thing to us is a big thing to you guys. So that's why, you know, you guys get back to us. If there's something that we're kind of missing and something sliding through the cracks, so to speak, and we're not covering, get back to us and let us know. We can shoot out a video real quick, and so we can kind of clear this up. So I think...
Yeah, that way you'll not only learn what you need, but we'll have it on a video for other people to see as
exactly,
well.
for the newbies out there. So, gosh, I think I've addressed just about everything that I could think of that should make it easier for you guys, because it really shouldn't. Now, I know you guys said, a couple guys said that you use your router table, turn it upside down, and make those 1-inch marks, wherever that board went, those 1-inch marks on your router table, and then do it upside down on a router table. You can certainly do that. There's no issue with that at all. You can certainly do that. But it really, once you get used to doing it this way, it's so much faster and so much easier. So, you know, just take some scrap boards that you have and just play around with it. With a, you know, find your favorite way to build it up so that your bearing doesn't hit your table, and find your way, you know, what's going to work for you. But if you want to use a router table, certainly is fine. That's, you know, it's a way you can do it, but it's not that difficult to do once you get this feel down. So
well, a lot of guys might not have a router table.
Exactly, that's true. So just remember, when you're doing a scallop, what the point that you're looking at when I'm doing this scallop, that's the point I'm looking for, so that I don't cut too much of that off. And if it feels like I'm coming straight in and I'm gonna cut that off, then I'll just move it slightly to the right, and I'll just keep doing that. And after you've done a dozen signs or so, guys, trust me, you'll get to where you can do it just like this. It's not that big a deal. So gosh, I guess that's about it. I want to go ahead and get this online and get it posted, because I promised I would. So we're right in the middle of doing a 2 or 3 video series on a bigger sign. I think you guys are going to enjoy, and that's what we're going to film next. But I'll get this posted right now for you guys. So any feedback, let me know. I'm sure I'm going to hear it on one way or the other on Facebook. So thanks again. We'll see you on the next video.